turning the ball over. It's a product of this, and then we see they don't have the time of possession because they're not running it, so the defense is on the field, and that's why they look so bad.
And let me say this also, whereas, there's going to be people eventually going to start getting ticked off going, well, what about the Bills? Dak was pressing, but I'll tell you this, Sean McDermott was in his head yesterday. And Sean McDermott, again, he comes from the Jim Johnson line of defense. Jim Johnson, the late great defensive coordinator of the Eagles. He had them pegged yesterday. He knew exactly what they were doing, and he had Dak on his heels all day long.
It's so weird because you can get the Bills running the ball, but the Cowboys have to completely change the way they play this year. Hembo and I were talking about it, and I wrote about it last week. They're running plays on average 3 seconds faster. It doesn't sound like much, but it takes them from like the second or third slowest team in the league to the fourth or fifth fastest team in the league. And that's where the time of possession starts showing up, exposing the defense a little bit. So they've totally gotten away from it, and McDermott and the Bills spotted that on film.
There's nothing complimentary about what they're doing right now.
It's back-to-back weeks where they've played really good defenses whose strength is not stopping the run, and yet they haven't gone to stopping the run like the Patriots and the Bills. I'm glad you took us there because I want to give the Bills the credit that they are due. They're a 9-3 football team with a quarterback who's clearly getting better, and while he may not be the most dynamic to watch, he's got some things he does very well. Their defense is great. They appear to be extraordinarily well coached. How good are the Bills?
I think they're well coached. I think, like you said, their defense is very good. But I didn't learn anything from the game yesterday because we don't know how good the Cowboys are. The Cowboys hadn't beat anybody. The Bills, their best win is against the Tennessee Titans. What I do love, Greeny, Josh Allen is growing and developing in front of our eyes. He didn't put up gaudy numbers, no, but played with a lot of moxie, played with a lot of poise, and a quarterback that can run the ball puts defenses in trouble.
And you know what? I'm one of these people who believe this. I don't necessarily like to judge teams based off of their opponents. I like to put broader context to it, meaning it's about execution to me. And they are executing in Buffalo. The offense, you see the execution as far as efficiency, it's improving. Josh is going this way. Singletary's going this way. Cole Beasley's going this way. And on the defensive side, I can tell you this. Sean McDermott is a grinder. And he is a guy who picks apart pass protections and will make the best quarterback look silly because he can throw so many different things at you, just like Jim Johnson used to. So I don't care who they're playing. They're always going to be in it because their coaching staff gives them a chance.
I have two questions for Graziano here, and then we'll run to some other things. The first, you sent me a note about the way the league views McDermott. People are very impressed with him.
Talk about the culture he's established there. Look at what they did this offseason. Everybody's throwing money around. They're making, they're building an offensive line. They're getting receivers. John Brown, Cole Beasley fit what they want to do. Sean McDermott and Brandon Beane, the GM, have a good plan that is universally admired around the league. I don't think anybody thought playoff contender 2019, but coming off that offseason, it was a very high opinion of what they were up to.
And then I want to circle back to Dallas because we have an injury that I think may not be getting enough attention. What is going on with Amari Cooper's knee?
Yeah, he hurt the knee, and he went back in the game, but he's going to have tests on that knee today. So he struggled most of the year with a quad injury, but that was getting better. So obviously we'll see what comes out of these tests he gets today. You see the hit he took. Able to return to the game again, but after the game he told reporters that were there, he's getting an X-ray on the knee today, so we'll follow that closely.
So that's one to keep a close eye on, right? This is the one thing, Louis, they cannot afford to lose him.
No, they cannot. They can't. And you know what? I know this is kind of bigger picture, but I'll tell you this. I remember when this play happened, if you remember, I believe on the TV, you could audibly hear Tony Romo groan when this happened.
Yeah.
Because it was just like that's what the league has become, right? These low hits like that. I'm surprised more guys aren't having catastrophic lower leg injuries with the way people were submarining people. I mean, that's a vicious-looking hit that 20 years ago, there would have been a brawl when somebody hit somebody like that. It's amazing how the game has changed.
But just again, for those who the reason it's changed is because you can't have people.
Absolutely. I get why. I'm just saying that those are the kind of things. That's becoming very commonplace. That's right.
When you eliminate the high hit, now you have to live with the low hit.
At the end of the day, the league would rather have you get hit in the knee than get hit in the head. And a lot of players might actually prefer it the other way.
Absolutely.
But that is where the sport is now. Okay, so that was one of the big games yesterday. Now let's get to the nightcap. If you didn't stay up late, if the tryptophan kicked in, here's what you missed in Atlanta. Drew Brees and the Saints looking to clinch the NFC South. And early, we got a punt. No, we don't. We got Taysom Hill.
Yeah, the ultimate. He's Captain America, isn't he? He does a little bit of everything. This guy is fun to watch. He says it's fun to play for this football team. And there is nothing worse than, as coaches call it, the double thud when you hear a punt get blocked. You know you're heading downhill when that happens.
So Taysom Hill set it up, and then Taysom Hill took it in. A little shovel pass.
And then he took it downhill. He didn't take it downhill once. He took it downhill twice. Great play design by Sean Payton, who's one of the best play callers this game has seen ever, probably.
Second quarter, it's a 10-6 lead for the Saints, and now it's more. With Drew Brees watching from the sideline, that's Hill again.
Yeah, I mean, this kid is big. He's fast. He's got a great personality. If you listen to him in the post-game comments, he's fun to watch.
Meanwhile, Matt Ryan got sacked 9 times, and then threw this interception, and then this happens. Oh, no.
Get out the club.
Oh, no. Sack. That's worse than all lineup.
What could we say? That's Shy Tuttle with the pick, and then,
They both, that was like 2 bouncers throwing them out of the club.
That'll teach you to hustle, by the way, downfield.
Under 4 minutes to go, this game gets crazy. The Falcons are down by 11. This is an onside kick, and it's beautifully done.
Let me tell you something. There's someone who's played on the hands team, who's played up front. It takes a special kind of dude to want to go in there when you see these guys coming after you, and that was clearly on display.
So they get it, then they kick a field goal immediately on a first down. This was great coaching. They kick a field goal, so now it's a 1-score game. Now they got another onside kick.
Go get the ball!
They get it
I'm
again.
telling you, man. Greeny, I'm going to put a helmet. I'll tell you, there is no question. They didn't want to recover that ball. And you see Sean Wright. Look, special teams meeting this morning. I would love to be there. I'd love to hear what Sean had to say to his team.
You would prefer the defensive meeting because they were very good. They put it away with this. That's Cam Jordan's 4th sack of the day. Again, 9 sacks in total for the Saints, and they win it 26-18. So let's talk a little bit about what we saw from them. I feel like we've gotten very involved in a lot of other teams and talking about them. Baltimore has been so flashy and so good. San Francisco has captured a lot of attention. Here are the Saints, who are basically 2 crazy plays away from possibly being in the Super Bowl each of the last 2 years, and they're right back again.
They have a lot of the things. The reason why they've always been in it is because they have a lot of the things that really work for you at this time of year and in the playoffs. They can run the football, strong offensive line, Hall of Fame quarterback, and they play great defense. Here's the only thing. As far as that offense is concerned, when 40% of your passing production comes from one guy, that can be a problem when a team decides to take that guy away.
It can be a problem. What we know, though, the Saints are good with Drew Brees. We now know they're good with Teddy Bridgewater, and we also now know their defense is legit. Serious contender along with the 49ers in the NFC.
Yeah, so there are the Saints. They get a nice long rest, and they will get San Francisco to look ahead to a week from Sunday. We will have much more on the NFL as our morning continues here on this day after Thanksgiving. But, of course, it is also the day before rivalry week in college football, and it is headlined by Alabama, Auburn, and the Iron Bowl. The Crimson Tide has won 4 of the last 5 meetings, but Auburn won the last meeting at Jordan-Hare, which is, of course, 2 years ago. This is not going to be an easy day for Bama. Wisconsin, Minnesota is a sneaky, huge game. Top 15 matchup. It's on ABC. The winner wins the Big Ten West and faces Ohio State in the Big Ten championship game. Number 1, Ohio State is on the road tomorrow, taking on Michigan in the game and a game that means a lot as we start looking ahead to the college football playoff. Well, there is an awful lot at stake, obviously, in this weekend's college football games and how they can and will impact the college football playoff. So we've put together a few what-if scenarios. Acho has been working on this all week long. I will give you the floor.
So everybody knows the college football playoff rankings as it stands now. At number 1, Ohio State, 2, LSU, 3, Clemson, and at 4, it's Georgia. But I just got to thinking, what if Alabama beats Auburn? Well, all of a sudden now, Alabama goes into the 4th spot. That's if and only if they crush Auburn, not just win. Ohio State would be at 1, LSU at 2, Clemson at 3, and Alabama would be at 4. What we need to see from Bama is the receivers do what they do. You have Henry Ruggs, you have Jalen Waddle, you have dominant players, and I didn't even mention Jerry Jeudy. So if Alabama crushes Auburn, the same Auburn team that beat Oregon, which Utah is banking on beating to make it in, how do you leave Alabama out of the playoffs? So that's my first thing. Now, what if Minnesota wins out? Now everything gets really crazy. You got to put 2 teams in, 2 Big Ten teams in the college football playoff. If Minnesota wins out, they would have beat Ohio State, beat Wisconsin, beat Penn State. How in the heck do you leave them out? And everybody tells me it's just Minnesota, Acho. They don't have a ton of talent. Well, you see they have some stud receivers. Bateman, Tyler Johnson. So I don't want to hear about what Minnesota doesn't have. I can tell you what they do have. If Minnesota wins out, they're in. And on the flip side, Ohio State stays in because they would be just as impressive having beat Michigan, having beat Wisconsin, etc. Now, what if Baylor wins out. This, to me, is tricky, but it makes a little bit of sense. Track with me. Ohio State, LSU, Clemson. All three of those teams have beat every team on their schedule. If Baylor wins out, they would be the fourth team to have beat every team on their schedule because they could avenge the loss to Oklahoma. Remember, Baylor was beating Oklahoma 28-3 before they let that game slip out the palms of their hands. So if Baylor wins out, I think they can get in, and we've seen this before. Last year, Oklahoma, they lost to Texas. They avenged that loss. So if Baylor wins out, I think they got a chance. But lastly, my last scenario, and Greeny, this one's for you.
Okay.
What if Minnesota loses to Wisconsin, then beats Ohio State? Alabama loses to Auburn. Utah loses to Oregon. Oklahoma loses to Oklahoma State, then beats Baylor. And Georgia loses to LSU. Well, I guess then you put in the Cowboys?
I thought you were going to somehow work it out that you got Northwestern in there. That was my one goal, was that if you got enough ifs in there, now that's extraordinarily well done, and that is exactly what makes this the most fun time of the year. And more fun is coming up here with us on Get Up. The Cowboys season teetering on the edge of a complete collapse. No one is enjoying that more than Stephen A. Smith. He will join us live in studio with his thoughts.